The King and the Cursed Blade, a kingdom in Peri. Once upon a time, in the grand kingdom of Vardana, there ruled a wise and just king named Rajanvir. He was loved by his people for his fairness, his courage, and most of all, his kindness. Under his rule, the kingdom prospered, and its people lived in peace. But one fateful evening, a messenger arrived at the palace gates, breathless and covered in dust. He fell to his knees before the king and gasped, "Your Majesty, a great army marches toward us from the east. Their leader, the warlord Zorath the Conqueror, has sworn to claim our lands by force." A hush fell over the court. Zorath was known across the lands as a ruthless warlord who had never lost a battle. He pillaged kingdoms, burned villages, and enslaved those who stood against him. King Rajanvir rose from his throne, his face calm but his mind racing. His army was brave, but Zorath's forces were vast, outnumbering them 5-1. If they fought, Vardana would be destroyed. If they surrendered, the people would suffer under Zorath's cruel rule. His advisors debated for hours, but no solution seemed promising. That night, as the king stood on his palace balcony, staring at the moonlit horizon, an old voice whispered from the shadows, "Your Majesty, there is one way." King Rajanvir turned and saw an elderly court sage, Rudraka, standing in the darkness. His deep-set eyes glowed with a strange light. "Long ago," Rudraka said, "a terrible weapon was sealed away beneath the forbidden temple. The blade of Kalthar, a sword forged from the darkest magic, gives its wielder unmatched power. With it, you could defeat Zorath and protect your kingdom." The king frowned. "Why was it sealed away?" "Because the blade carries a terrible curse," Rudraka warned. "It grants victory, but at a price whoever wields it will slowly lose their soul, consumed by darkness, until they become a tyrant worse than any enemy." The words chilled Rajanvir's heart. The kingdom needed saving, but at what cost? As the days passed, Zorath's army drew closer. Spies reported that he would attack in 3 days. The people of Vardana lived in fear, and the weight of their hopes pressed upon the king. That night, Rajanvir rode alone to the forbidden temple, deep within the Blackwood forest. The temple was ancient, covered in vines and glowing with eerie blue light. As he stepped inside, a voice echoed in his mind. "You seek power, King of Vardana?" The voice came from a pedestal at the center of the temple. Upon it lay the blade of Kalthar black as midnight, pulsing with crimson energy. "Take me, and you shall never lose a battle again." Rajanvir reached out, but stopped, just before his fingers touched the hilt. Visions filled his mind, himself standing victorious over Zorath, his people cheering. But then, the vision darkened. He saw himself seated on a throne of bones, his people cowering in fear. His heart pounded. Would he become like Zorath if he used this blade? At that moment, Rajanvir recalled a lesson his father once told him. True strength comes not from power, but from wisdom, unity, and courage. He clenched his fist and stepped away from the cursed blade. "No, I will not sacrifice my soul for victory." As he turned to leave, the temple rumbled, and the voice hissed, "Fool, without me, your kingdom will fall." Rajanvir did not look back. Returning to his palace, Rajanvir gathered his generals and devised a new planet, one of brute force, but of strategy. On the day of battle, Zorath's army surrounded Vardana. The warlord rode forth, clad in black armor, his voice booming. "Surrender, or be destroyed." King Rajanvir rode out to meet him, alone. "Zorath, I challenge you to single combat. If I win, you leave. If you win, Vardana is yours." The warlord laughed. "You think you can defeat me?" "I think you are afraid," Rajanvir countered. "Afraid that your men will see you as weak if you refuse." Zorath scowled, trapped by his own pride. He dismounted and drew his sword. "Very well, King. Prepare to die." The duel began. Zorath was strong, but Rajanvir was swift. He dodged and parried, forcing Zorath to grow tired. Then, at the perfect moment, Rajanvir knocked the sword from Zorath's hands and pointed his blade at the warlord's throat. The battlefield fell silent. "Yield," Rajanvir commanded. Zorath, breathing heavily, clenched his jaw. Then, To everyone's shock, he dropped to his knees. "You have bested me, king of Vardana. My army will leave." As Zorath's army withdrew, the people of Vardana erupted in cheers. Rajanvir had won not with dark magic, but with courage, intelligence, and honor. The cursed blade remained sealed, never to be touched again, and the lesson was clear to all. True strength does not come from power alone, but from wisdom, unity, and the courage to make the right choices. And so, King Rajanvir ruled for many more years, not as a conqueror, but as a leader who inspired his people to be strong not through fear, but through wisdom and unity.